Hello and welcome to my review of the Sisters of Battle Arco-Flagellants. Not flatulence, that's something completely different. One of these box sets will cost you £30. You get 10 models. I think it is a little bit overpriced for what you're getting. I would have rather these 10 models, because they're on small 25mm bases, I would have preferred them to cost £25 or so, or maybe 20, but I think £30 is a bit too much. They're in a thinner box than usual. It's the same thin box as the Repentia squad that come, and the Repentia squad have got 10 models too, but you get that Repentia Superior in there. Now, what I will say about this kit is you're getting 5 sets of twins. What I mean by that is there are 5 models in here that share exactly the same leg pose and torso pose as the other 5. They're hard to spot and see, they really are, because you get so many different options for their flails. So if you bought 10 of them, like I have here, they're going to look very different. They're going to look pretty different, and they're going to hide with the leg poses. But already I've just spotted 2, just here. Look at these. Now and again you'll see them, and these are the same running leg pose, and when you see them you can't unsee them. But look at the difference in the weapons. This is this long whip and a few whips here. This one has this coil thing, and the heads are different as well. The numbers are different, the prisoner numbers or whatever they are. I'm sure they're convict numbers or something, I don't know. But yeah, when you see them, you can't unsee them. If you were going to get another 10, it's still going to be hard to spot them, other than if you really look close and look at the legs. So getting 20 of them isn't going to be too bad, because they've got all these whips and flails moving about. There's just a lot to take in. Unlike kind of Space Marines or Battle Sisters, where you're going to see some twins and it's going to be a bit obvious to see them. So we'll have a little look at each of these models with their different flails and things. We'll do some size comparisons, of course, and then I'll go through all of the rules. So to start off with, you can make the Damien model. I think it's this one, which is 1427 from the Inquisitor game. It was another tabletop game with much larger scale miniatures, and so I've made this one. You know, the heads, some of the heads you can swap in terms of it's the faceplate rather than the whole head itself, and some of the weapons you can swap and change. But this is this Arco-Flagellant. They look really cool, really menacing, like they're just going about flailing people to death into bloody pulps. You've got this one with this awful looking mask thing and this ball thing on the end, some kind of bead. I don't know. And then this one, which is about to lay the smack down or get shot into oblivion. But these have got spikes on the balls as well. These whips have got spikes on too. Yeah. And this one just prancing about to stumble on that rock there, maybe not. This one is like the widest wingspan, wider than an albatross maybe. Crazy. And then you've got this one's even got like a little broken ring. This one's in full pelt, about to slap someone with this ribbed one. And this is like one of the most awkward poses, this one here. Sort of, she doesn't know what she's doing. I like the fact that you get females and males in this. That's nice. Maybe I stuck them the wrong way around. Just looking, nope, I definitely stuck them the right way around. I can just see her there. It's prisoner number 7626, yep. They sort of only go that way, but that's probably the weakest one, I think, out of these. Yeah, this one's going full pelt too, a little spiky ball on the top. So yeah, I mean, individually they look different. because of the variety in the whips and the flails that they've got. But if you really look at their legs, then that's when you can start to see that they are just 5 models. But I want to drill home to you that there's enough variation in those flails and weapons and faces to make them unique as a box set of their own. Much more so than, say, the Sisters of Battle Army box set that I bought, which I've got these 3. We'll just start with some size comparisons in a moment. These, we'll start some size comparisons after the spare parts section, but as you can see, there's just a difference here, not of the weapon, but just of the faces there. One's got a cowl on, the other one's got some kind of demented face thing going on, but you only got 3 in the army set, and I mean, what are you going to do with 3 flatulence? Not much. This one's cool because it has like a kind of spinning blade saw on it. I think this one's female. Yeah, female definitely. Yeah, so yeah, they looked good, but this full box set, this multi-part box set, really captures the speed of them, because these 2 look very, very similar if you had them side by side. But if you sort of move them about a little bit, then you can hide them in the group. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of them in the army box set, but I've been converted with the full box set release. So that's the 10 that you get in the set. Let me show you the spare parts, of which you get an absolute ton. Look at all these spare parts you get. Look at these. Wow. So everything from different faces to the different weapons, different whips, flails, but it's mainly just faces or face plates and different weapons. They're the only spare parts that you get, but yeah, as you can see, you get a huge amount there. I've used every variation, but you could duplicate them very easily. If you didn't take their advice, you could try and mix and match some of the weapon options. Some arm pieces only fit on certain models, on certain sets of twins, so just bear that in mind. But with a bit of modification, maybe you could clip a few tubes off and have them in some awkward poses, maybe. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the spare parts there. Okay, so you've seen them compared to the Arco-Flagellants in the army set. Let me now show you them compared to some other models in Sisters of Battle. So I've got a Canoness right here. She is taller. Watch out behind you. She's taller than them in a way. It depends on the pose, but you know, she is on that scenic base herself, and she is on a bigger base, which does make a bit of a difference compared to, say, the Dialogus, which is quite a tall model as well. She sits well around them. She's a fair bit taller, but they are all in these active sprinting running poses, so they're a bit more hunkered down than your typical battle sister. Next to an Anchorite. Anchorite does dwarf them all, but you can imagine them milling about near it. And then just because I've got Saint Celestine here, I'll throw Saint Celestine in. I would have liked to have shown you them compared to Sisters of Repentia, you know, the new box set I just showed, but I haven't built those yet. But in their review, I'll definitely throw a couple of these in to that review to compare their sizes. But I think from the looks of it, they're going to be taller, especially with their chains, especially with their eviscerators held up high. I think they're just generally going to be taller. These are probably the smallest models in the Sisters of Battle range, because they're hunkered down in their sprinting poses. Compared to a couple of Space Marines then, I've got a normal Space Marine on the left and Primaris on the right. Let's just take Damien here. They're a little bit shorter, but again, because of the running pose. And then Primaris absolutely dwarfs one of them. Could probably just kick one out of the way and it would fly for a long time. But yeah, I hope that helps in the whole size side of things. They are, you know, a bit on the small side, but that is mainly because of their poses. One final note I'd like to just point out before I go through the rules is they are quite fiddly. There's a fair few mould lines, and especially on all the flails and things, and you've got to be really, really careful transporting them, because some of these things can just snap off, especially the tips. They can bend. This one in particular can. The thinner the plastic, the more easier it is going to be to, you know, that one's almost on a way to a bend. So you've got to be super careful transporting these. I don't know how you do it other than in like a toolbox rather than a foam box, because the foam can sometimes add pressure to these thinner pieces, especially how you put them into the foam slot. So I just recommend be super careful with these compared to other Sisters of Battle models. Okay, you're now into my rules section of the video. You'll find them in the Elite section. It's a section that is hotly contested with loads of other goodies. They are a PowerPoints cost of a 2, so similar to the PowerPoints cost of lots of the other units in this section. And they're a points cost of 13 each. The Arco-Flagellants, which they're equipped with, are free, so you don't have to pay any more points. They're just 13 points per model. The unit contains 3 Arco-Flagellants, hence why you got 3 in the army set. It can additionally contain up to 2 Arco-Flagellants, so that's 5 there, or up to 7 Arco-Flagellants. So you've got your 10, and then additionally 1 Endurant. And then additionally it can contain 1 Endurant instead of 1 Arco-Flagellant. Every model is equipped with Arco-Flails. So you've got your 10, and then you can just turn one of them into an Endurant, which just adds 1 extra attack to one of them. Speaking of which, let's go through their characteristic. Their movement speed is 7 inches. A weapon skill is 4+. Strength, they don't have a ballistic skill. I've got no ballistic weapons. Strength is 4. Toughness is 3. They've got 2 wounds each, 2 attacks each, leadership 7, and a save of 7+. So you're not really getting a save there. The Endurant has exactly the same stat line, but it has 3 attacks instead of 2. So really fast units. You know, the fastest in the army, other than the jetpack ones. They're the same speed as Death Cult Assassins, which have movement speed of 7 inches. Of course, their weapon skill, you have to take a bit of a hit there by it only being 4+ instead of like 3+. But their strength is 4, which does help them out. And they do have 2 wounds each, which is great. So the Arco-Flagellants, what are these weapons that they're equipped with? Well, firstly, they add +1 strength. So now you've got strength 5. You've got AP -1 and a damage of 1, and additionally you make D3 hit rolls for each attack made with this weapon instead of 1. That can be horrific. So let's just do some quick maths. Let's say, perfect scenario, you do get 3 hit rolls for each attack made. So you've got 21 attacks, including that Endurant. Let's say you get 3 on the D3, which is very unlikely. You're more likely to get, statistically, you're more likely to get 2 or more on a D3. But let's just say, perfect scenario, you've now got a whopping 63 hits at strength 5, AP -1 and a damage of 1. That's enough to take down a lot of things. The difficulty you'll have is getting them into that close combat. But once they are in close combat and you've got 10 of them, which is a maximum unit size, they are going to wreak havoc. They are excellent against hordes. They are good against things with a decent save, because they can push out so many hits on that one unit. Abilities. Zealot. If you don't know what Zealot is, I'll just remind you, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in this unit, you can re-roll the hit roll if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention. So this kind of negates that weapon skill of 4+ in a way that you can re-roll your hits in most circumstances. Berserk Killing Machines. When a model in this unit would lose a wound, roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. That's great. Nice feel no pain there, 5+. Ecclesiarch Battle Conclave. If your army is battle forged, this unit does not take up a slot in a detachment that includes any Ministorum priests. Great. So you're not taking up a slot in elite choice if you've got any Ministorum priests there. Keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Infantry, Ecclesiarchy, Battle Conclave, and Arco-Flagellants. So there you go. They are definitely underrated. I think people will underrate these. You know, oh, there's a unit of 5 or 10 half-naked convicts running across the battlefield, sprinting across the battlefield with these Arco-Flails. I'm not going to pay them much attention, and then all of a sudden they're on one of your squads and they're just ripping them to pieces, bludgeoning them to death, whipping them to death, you name it. They're squishy with a toughness 3, but they do have 2 wounds each. So you look at a squad of 10 there and you think, okay, there's only 10, they're on the small bases, 10 wounds. Nope, you've got 20 wounds there. So they are definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing in terms of survivability, attack output, and abilities as well, and strength. Taking no notice of the nothing for ballistic skill because they don't have any ranged weapon, is mainly their toughness of 3 and their save of 7+. The strategy I would use with them, if I couldn't put them in a drop pod, Sisters of Battle drop pod, is get them to all link up their Arco-Flails and Celestine can just fly them across the battlefield. No, okay, those 2 strategies don't work. Flailing that, or should I say failing that, you're really going to have to keep them in cover and keep them secluded because they are going to be a target for your opponent. They have a high damage output potential, and they don't have access to any of the transports that would safely ferry them across the battlefield. So if you are going to use them and you are going to pay the points and buy 10 of them, really you need to be on your game in terms of protecting them. Maybe hide them behind a Sisters of Battle squad as a bit of extra support, or hide them behind vehicles or ruins. They are going to work superbly on like a cityscape battlefield as opposed to like a big open area. Anyway, what do you guys think of the models and the rules? Please do put it in the comments below. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I'm pleased that Games Workshop made full plastic kit for them. I just wish they'd made some more plastic kits for the Death Cult Assassins and the Crusaders and the Preachers and the Missionaries as well. Oh, and a Repressor. But other than that, but that's another story entirely. Put your comments and thoughts down below as always. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.